Bonjour tout le monde.
Hello everyone. This is episode number 6 of the series of the Row Wampum talks. Today we have something very special, as usual, but I'm very excited to introduce you to Marianne. Marianne experimented the birth of her sister and her brother at their home the natural way. So I'm very interested to be able to share with you her experience of how she's seen that, how it changed her life. We will talk about many things and we'll see where it gets us. So everybody's welcome, and we will also take your question, comments, and Marianne will be able to answer your question if you have some. As usual, I will proceed to a small opening, the way that I have learned it, with the Kanienkehaka traditional console. I remind the people watching that I am Liaison to Row Wampum for the Kanienkehaka traditional console, the Mohawk traditional console. The objective of the liaison, like me, is to create the bridge between the native cultures, the original people culture, with whom I'm in contact, and the non-native world. So I am non-native, and this is my role to share the information with you. So we will be talking with Marianne after this small opening. And as I always say, the opening is designed to thank what gave us life and support our life, to have in mind what's truly important. So when we dialogue, we have that in our mind, and our discourse will be positively influenced with what is truly important. So it's a reminder to us of what's truly important. My name is Marie-Claude Lacroix. I'm the great daughter of Yvette and the daughter of Francine. I would like to thank Sky Woman for giving me my spirit and the spirit of all things in creation. I would like to thank Grandmother Moon for giving me my blood and the blood of all things in creation. I would like to thank Mother Earth to give me my body and all the body of all creation. And I would like to thank all the women, from the newest born baby girl to the eldest of the grandmothers, as they are all the mothers of our nation. I would like to thank their medicine, the women that the women brought their love, the women that are taking care, the ones that are connected to their true identity. This medicine that our society is in desperate need, that we see them again as the authority that they represent. I would also like to thank all the water, all the medicine, and all the creation in a good spirit. As we said earlier, this conversation we will have with Marianne, and it will be translated after. I will start right now with a question with Marianne. I would like her to talk to us about how she experimented the birth. The first time it was her sister, and I would like for her to talk about this. In fact, the first time it was my little brother. It was surprising. Before me, I was into traditional technique, medicine, and all of this. But for me, hospital, in my head, I was certain that my mother would give birth at the hospital, the way she gave birth to me at the hospital. When I heard that my mom planned to give birth at home, I was a bit panicked. But then she told me that a friend that she knows really well, a midwife, will support her in give birth. I was reassured right there and then, because I knew the person, and I know that my mother, if she has something in her head, an idea, then she will proceed to doing that. How did you experiment? So you've seen your brother being born. How do you experiment it today? What's the difference, in your opinion? You're in your home, your sister, your brother were born there. So what is your link to that place of birth? It was very special to see my brother get out of my mother. I knew how it would happen, but to see it live, it's completely different. I can't really explain exactly how I felt, because I just woken up 5 minutes before. It was during the night, and they came to get me in saying, "Do you want to see your brother being born?" I was completely lost. I had no idea of what I was expecting. And I open the door, I see my mother yell, and then 5 minutes after, I had my brother in front of me. Compared to my sister, it took like half hour. It was a bit longer because my mom, we are 3 kids, and my mom never really had to push so long. The longest it took, it was 30 minutes. Some women, it could take hours and hours, but for her, it was very fast. What I find incredible is that me, I'm 45, I have a life experience, but I don't know at all what is a birth process. I could never observe this sacred act of giving life. And what I see in what Marianne is saying is that she knows much more than me, and she can actually teach adults on the birthing process, the natural birthing process. How could you tell what is the difference? You were born in the hospital, of course you don't remember it, but if your brother would have been born at the hospital, how do you think, what the differences are, you think? The big difference is, first, the person that would have touched my brother, my sister, would have been a doctor. So supposedly a man. When my mom gave birth, she spoke to me ahead of time, and she wanted me to touch my brother and my sister first, because usually it's always a woman that enters in contact with the baby. What I forgot to mention is that Marianne, she is Anishinaabe. It is an ancestral tradition present in all the original people that were all matrilineal society. And they always left the birthing process to women. For example, in long houses, it would be the grandmothers that would, in an ideal case, receive the baby. When my sister and brother was born, like instantly I put my hand on their head for the symbolage of this. But my father that was present, it wasn't involved. It's only the midwife that would assist. And all this process for you, it's probably intense for you. How do you see the natural birth compared to your experience? Well, natural birth is much more calmer. In a hospital, it's a public place. So when you're giving birth, you're somewhere else in your head, but even though, personally, if I was giving birth in a hospital, I would feel ashamed because there's some people that I don't know at all that would hear me yell, scream. So now we're in a home, everybody that we love surrounds us, much calmer and private. It's a much better place. I would also like for Marianne to talk to us about an exceptional thing. Here's the context. According to the original people, when the woman gives birth, the placenta, the umbilical cord, will be buried on the site of the birth of the child. That gives them a sense of belonging to that place, direct to that place, and undeniable, because that person will always remember this place of birth. And a parenthesis too, we talked about it in the past episodes. The woman that created that placenta with her body, her umbilical cord that she created with her own flesh, doesn't belong to her anymore in the hospital. It's a fight. For example, an original people woman has to fight to get it. Pieces of her own body to be able to proceed to a ceremony like this. So I just wanted to give you a context. Logically, placenta for the hospital, it's a waste. The same way a woman will have
Vraiment. On entend parler là, de plusieurs femmes qui, justement, voient ça. Là. C'est quoi cette affaire-là? Vous sortez
so the placenta, the umbilical cord is the same thing as miscarriage. They treat that as a waste. It is so stupid. It's part of you. It's your blood. It's your owner of this. And you should be able to do whatever you want with it. Yes, truly. We're hearing about many women exactly like that. As soon as it leaves my body, it belongs to the state? What? It's exactly that. So the fight is there So I invite you to watch episode number 5, where we actually talked to Annick, Marianne's mother. I should have mentioned this right from the start. It was our last talk, and this is Marianne's point of view, the way she experienced it. Marianne also has something to talk to you about her own placenta. Can you, Marianne, talk to us about how your mother obtained it and what happened after? I'm not exactly remembering everything. I know that she kept the placenta and she waited when I reached 4 or 5 years old, and she brought many trees and she asked me to choose one, and she said that we will plant it and we will put your placenta to put underneath it. I chose the oak, and what's interesting is that it nourished the oak. It's still in my backyard, and when it's going to be tall, maybe I will come back there with my kids and I will tell them this oak, what nourished it at first is my placenta. And I remember you made a ceremony with your mother. Was there other people? Yes, there was my father, and it was me that put the placenta into the ground, and I planted the tree. I had many choices for trees. There was also different types. And 2-3 years later, my dog, my female dog, died, and we also buried her 4 meters approximately from my tree. So I say that, well, I'm a neighbor of my dog because she's still there. She was buried there. What's important in your heart? What brought you some good medicine? It's in your home. I find this extraordinary, but because what we realize, I was born in a hospital. I also talked about the episode 5, is that when you ask yourself, when they ask you where you were born, there's a sort of bug in my head because I was born in a hospital in another city where my house actually was based. And that creates a separation because I don't have a sense of belonging to that hospital room in the place I was born. I cannot go there and think about, oh wow, here is the place where I received life. My mother gave me life here. It's a process that was cut. Because a birth is natural, huh? You've seen that. So do you think that if ever you have children, would you go with a natural birth? Yes, of course. If I'm surrounded with people that can help me, because I would never do that alone. But if truly there's no one to help me, I will go to a birth home. When you talk about belonging, the sense of belonging, my brother, after his birth and the hospital problems we got at the hospital, the room where we were, it's the room actually my mother gave birth to me, because my mother was remembering the number, and I think it was the exact same. So we believe that it was exactly the same place. And I think she came back there again. So we know this place. So I visited this place personally. But for me, it's just like a hospital room. It's not like my brother, my sister. For them, their room is beside the place they were born. They were born in their home. And at school, when I was telling my friends about this, they were finding it. It's not my friend, but let's say just people I know. They were finding it weird compared to the people, the friends that I chose truly. Well, they found that extraordinary that my mother had the courage. And they also said that it was a much better idea, as I explained. They didn't even know that a birth home existed, with that you can be assisted with midwives and etc. So I have a friend, she's 16. She told me, you help me because I had a blockage, because I don't want to have a baby at the hospital. So now she has other choices and she can give birth at home if she wants. Imagine this. So a 14-year-old young woman that teaches and actually has positive repercussions with this. So same thing for me. When you're not in touch with a person that has like a natural birthing process, it's never an option for you. So Marianne, at her age, has a very positive impact on people around her. We were talking about the placenta earlier. Sometimes Do you revisit your oak? What do you do related to this place? When I was much younger, what I was doing, when I would go out, I would hug it. Now I don't do that. Sometimes when I see dead leaves, I remove them. It's still very small, but I'm trying to take care of it. And when I was playing with my doll younger, it was like a perfect size for my doll, and I played. So this tree is a bit me, of course. And how do you feel this link to this home? This piece of land that welcomes your placenta. Do you think that all your life you will be linked to this place? Of course, logically, yes. Because that's a place I always played. I have my placenta. This place welcomed my dead dog also, which was my first true friend I had. It was such an amazing dog. I was playing with her. So it's a place filled with energy that I love. And before we had a teepee, and I also slept there during summer. So my backyard, it's not just a backyard to play. It's also a spiritual place for me because there's the energy that is there is very special. I find it extraordinary what you're telling us, Marianne, because imagine her young age. She talks about spirituality. What I learned through Marianne is the true sacred process of giving life. To be born in this world that is directly linked to our Mother Earth, that gives us everything to drink, eat, and to protect ourselves and give our body. Because according to the original people, we emerge from the territory. So if we were born in a certain place, that gives us the direction to follow. We are here to protect what gives us life. That's the logic, and that's the simple thing to do. But that is also what is completely the opposite in our world. And what I see with Marianne is she has an anchor so solid with her home, with the natural birds. She knows what it is, a real bird, and it makes her a being that is very solid, much more than someone that doesn't know where they belong. Would you like to share something else? I want to say I come from a small village, so logically, people coming from small villages will understand me. Everything gets known by everybody in no time. So like the game of the telephone, you start at first and then at the end, the message has been really transformed. People talk and they don't know what they're talking about, and they invent stuff. My parents always taught me to be proud, to be natives. So young, I didn't really understand. I was so happy to say I'm native, and I was showing that at school. And for others, that I would be proud of this, it was weird to them. And from kindergarten until I reached 7 years old, I got intimidated, got names from everybody. High school, 1, 2, now I'm going into 4. The third year, it was much calmer. It was a bigger school, and I had people whom I could be together and feel safe. But before, even my small cousin, every time I tried to explain, they would say, no, it's not true. They didn't want to understand anything. They didn't want to be linked to me because they didn't want to be intimidated as well. It's incredible because we see that how much judgments, is against the original people. How come? The world, the non-native world, just refuse to see the natural process of life. And, as you said, intimidation is very difficult for any native people. They are still resisting a planned genocide on them. And it's really something to be still standing and proud of her origins. And we see as non-native that we have to learn from that. And how much the dehumanization process that we have in our society that is clearly sick when we have an example through Marianne's conversation, it truly enriches us, same as her mom. And this is the goal of the two Row Wampum talks, to have this dialogue. So if you allow me, Marianne, I will see if there's comments or questions for you, Marianne. So if you have comments, questions, I'm going to go and read it. So we're live and we'll do that. Oh, we have a lot of people with us today. Great. Thanks for being there. We have a great heart from Lisa. Thank you, Lisa. Céline says, wow, there's so many great values for you. Well, thank you. I'm happy to hear that. And what do you wish, according to the original people? What do you feel that should happen in our society? And the people become aware that the native people, they're not just savages. They are human, complete human. And I think that people are waking up. For example, in my history class, we're talking about Quebec, but then we were talking about the natives a little bit, on how it happened. And then a guy in our class raised their hand, said they were exterminated and nobody asked them. And I realized that I'm not the only one to see that. Other people from my class are aware that that makes no sense. And this guy, before, it was just like a young kid that was saying, unrelevant thing. But now I see him in a different way because he's starting to understand. She was present during 2 births, and after that you also assisted to your sister's birth. How did that happen? So it was a little bit different because when the first time I was in the middle of the night and it lasted 5 minutes. For my sister, it lasted 30 minutes. So I seen my mother suffer a little longer, and it created a sort of blockage with my sister. I had a hard time taking care of her, didn't like to play with her. And at one point I said, wait a minute. We'll censor that.
Puis comme le processus de donner naissance avec toute la famille autour, ben tu sais, il y a déjà la conversation de comment ça.
Why did my mom suffer so much? And why would I stop myself from being in a relation with my sister? It's not her fault. It's a normal process. And then I started playing more with her, and it was much more fun. And the process of giving birth with all the family around, but there's already the conversation of how it happens. And for you, but it came naturally to your mother on how you experienced. It's so rich. I will go back. I've seen that there's comments. There's no words to describe how proud I am of you, my little wolf, and your mom. Easy sends a big heart again. There's no comments, so no question. So that means it was very clear. And if you have a question in the future, that doesn't mean that we cannot re-invite Marianne, that could maybe be open again to speak to us. I would like to also add that I noticed, I don't believe it's only me, but I noticed that my sister and my brother, I seen them born. I have the impression that we are much closer linked, because I have a friend, she has a brother and a sister like me, and she's always saying, oh, my brother gets me on my nerves, same thing with my sister. And I'm like, what? How can you say something? Yeah, it can be a bit bothering, but I mean, it lasts like not even a second. And I am even missing my brother and my sister at school. I would like to miss school to be with them. And I see with my friends, it's the opposite. And probably it might be linked to the fact that they were born at home, that I am much closer to them. Yeah, there's a link that is so strong. My brother, we have a movie also of his birth. So later I will be able to tell him, okay, we're gonna put a movie, and I'll put that in, and it's so beautiful. She's filled with love, this beautiful Marianne. I'm so happy that you're talking with us. I would like to stay, but definitely it could be amazing to have another Row Wampum talk with her, because I know that we touched just the tip of the iceberg with this wonderful young lady. So last words? Thank you for listening to us. It's a lot of fun to talk like this and to speak to all these people that are listening to us. Bravo! Congratulations, Marianne, a great example of a young lady that is anchored in her true identity. We invite you to share this widely and easy to finish the conversation. You see, you're a wonderful person, Marianne. Thank you very much. For someone that I don't even know, to see that people agree with me and we communicate, that's awesome. If you have questions, things that you would like to interact with Marianne, I think we just discovered a woman that has a lot to bring and she has a fresh view of everything. So I'm offering, as you know, to make this bridge. Send us messages. If you want to ask her, we will organize this for you. Thank you so much for your beauty. Marianne, you're wonderful. Thank you for being there. Skanagawa, which means great peace to all. And we will see you again very soon to Row Wampum Chalk, number 7 coming up very soon. Thank you for being there. See you soon.